guys, Ash Lane here, coming at you today with 3 ways to dominate with Valkyries at Town Hall 9. As promised, this is the second episode in a trio of episodes, all highlighting the Valkyries' strengths, especially in Clan Wars now. So let's hop right into it. What do you say? So the 3 best ways to absolutely dominate using Valkyries at Town Hall 9 are GoVaHo, which is more traditional. You guys know what GoVaHo is. It's golems, Valkyries, and back-end hogs. And now the new one is Mass Valkyrie that can be used against any type of base, and that involves using 20 or more Valkyries to absolutely decimate a base. Can't wait to share those replays with you in just a minute. Queen Walk GoVaHo is the 3rd one. That is also a, not a new strategy per se, but you will see some cool variations of it in today's episode. But first, what has changed? A lot of people on the forums, on Twitter, on social media saying, the Valkyries got nerfed. Why are you using Valkyries, Ash? I got a few comments on my last video, the same thing. Well, that is not the case. Sure, they got a slight decrease in hit points, and I guess technically that's a little bit of a nerf, but they were buffed so dramatically given the new attack mechanic that certainly overcompensates for the small loss of hit points. The new mechanic makes them swing much faster and makes them get into the swing much faster. They're absolutely amazing now. What about minimum level requirements? Well, if you're going to use the mass Valk attack that we're going to talk about, generally speaking, against most spaces, you're going to want max Valkyries because you're relying solely on that troop. But for the GoVaHo and for Queen Walk GoVaHo, you can get by with level 2 or level 3 Valkyries depending on what type of base you're hitting. And the golden rule for Valk attacks is establishing the funnel. We're going to talk more about that and get into that, especially in the first replay here. So let's hop right into it. So this is a pretty good base design here by Zach, and he's going to be attacked by Fernando from CoC-Spain.com. Shout out to that clan. It was a pretty close war. We came out with a victory, but they did a good job, and this was one of their better attacks here. So you can see, I especially wanted to bring you this replay. This is a traditional GoVaHo with 10 Valkyries, though, a little bit heavier on the Valkyries. That's because they're so amazing. Now keep an eye on that wizard on that army camp. As soon as that army camp is down, boom, here comes the Valkyries. Now let's talk about spacing for the funnel. Look at that barracks, that dark barracks that the wizard is targeting up in the around 3 o'clock, around 2, 3 o'clock on your screen. And look at that dark elixir pump that wizard's going to be kind of near over there towards the bottom. Well, those are not going to distract the Valkyries. As long as you have basically 2 army camps worth of space, so a little over 10 squares, 12 squares, that is enough to establish the funnel. You don't have to necessarily clear out the entire side of the base, and that is actually pretty beneficial because that allows you to only have to use 1 golem to establish the funnel. In other words, you don't have to have a huge wide spread of golems to provide cover for the wizards because 1 golem is usually enough if you place it in the right area entering the map. Now all these strategies for the most part are going to use only 1 golem because you need that extra troop space for the Valkyries. Now look at Fernando here. He sneaks in these hogs after he sees all the defensive units are distracted with the Valkyries towards the center of the base. This strategy is especially very, very useful when attacking a base that you know has a lava hound in the clan castle. This was a cleanup attempt. Now the only air targeting unit left on the map is the Archer Queen, so the Archer Queen might concentrate on the lava hound, but the lava hound just kind of float around, following all the Valkyries, following the king, and not really doing much damage. So if you see a village has a lava hound in the clan castle, something should click in your brain. It should tell you, maybe I should try GoVaHo against this base. Obviously, Mass Valk is the same idea, but GoVaHo is useful too because obviously the hogs aren't going to take much damage from the lava hound as well. Even the pups don't do too much damage to the Valkyries. Now this next attack is what we're really here for. This is what we really want to talk about. It's these Mass Valk attacks. If you want a good army composition, copy this one. 21 Valkyries, 10 wizards, and then the cleanup crew and a few wall breakers. You're not necessarily going to need wall breakers against every base, but against most you are going to need to break through the exterior perimeter wall. Then you just use some earthquake spells to open up the center of the base, establish the funnel, and then drop all the redheads into the base. Now keep in mind that this attack and all the attacks today are actually pulled off within the last few days, so that means this is with the Valkyries with the quote-unquote hit point nerf. So yeah, they're still really, really powerful. Look at how they move through this base like a knife through butter. It's absolutely amazing. Look at them. They're just, when you can create a nice wide open space for your Valkyries, that's where they really shine. So this base wasn't necessarily a wide open base, but with the earthquake spells, you can turn it into a more wide open base. And when you can create that big open area, that's, like I said, that's when Valkyries are at their best, because they move very quickly and they're able to get in between units. They get kind of bogged down by walls. That's why bringing jump spells or earthquake spells is really crucial for the middle of these type of bases. But otherwise, you're just relying on your Valkyries. You know, with these mass Valk attacks like this, the one thing that you're going to be prepared for is about halfway through the raid, at least in my mind, whenever I see these attacks live, I think they're going to fail about halfway through. I say, oh, it looks like that, you know, the attack is dwindling down. Deathcap, as you can see from Red Elite, is one of our better mass Valk attackers. He's really, really liking this strategy. He's using it a real lot, and he's having a lot of success with it. In fact, he's had 4 3-star attacks using the same exact army composition in our last 2 wars, so props to Deathcap. And you can see, again, establishing the funnel here, being patient at first. It's important not to rush the attack. Although you only have 3 minutes to execute the attack, not 3 minutes and 30 seconds as it was for a couple months there, this attack is a very fast-moving attack. In turn, that affords you plenty of time to be very precise, really put a lot of planning into your funneling, and don't rush it. You don't necessarily need to drop those wall breakers right away. Drop the golem, drop the wizards, allow a little bit of time, then drop the Valkyries. Now you'll notice here there is a Tesla farm in this base. 4 Teslas pretty clumped up there, and that's why it's important to have heal spells. Now I said in yesterday's video that I preferred rage spells at Town Hall 10 and Town Hall 11. Well, I actually prefer heal spells for Valk attacks at Town Hall 9. Why the difference? Well, primarily it's because it's really hard, it's really difficult to heal Valkyries through Inferno Towers, especially if they're level 4, whereas at Town Hall 9 you're obviously not dealing with either Eagle Artillery or Inferno Towers. The best method to take out the Inferno Towers is just to rage your Valkyries and kill them before they kill you. But when you're not going against those high elite, high echelon endgame defensive units, you don't have to necessarily worry about quickly killing one defensive unit. You have the luxury of taking a little bit more time and making sure your Valkyries stay alive throughout the entire raid. So you can see, nice 3-star again by Deathcap. And these 20 Valkyrie attacks just really illustrates how unbelievably powerful Valkyries are in the game. They can really take out any type of base. So this last attack here is by Shockwave. You're not going to want to miss this one. A really nice Queen Walk going into a GoVaWi. So no hogs here, and we're going to start with the Queen Walk around 4 o'clock or so. And you can see he starts the Queen, so she's going to take out the opposing Queen. When you see bases like this where the Queen and the King, the opposition enemy king and the queen have their own little compartment, always an awesome idea to start a Queen Walk over there. Use your rage spell, use the queen ability if you have to. She'll usually stay alive. On this base it was even better because you could take out the opposition queen and the clan castle with your queen, and she'll stay alive there, and she'll eventually towards the end of the raid merge with the rest of the attacking units there. And you can see around 9 o'clock the king's now going in. He has the wizards creating the funnel. The funnel has been created, and now all the Valkyries come. You'll see that Shockwave does bring 2 golems. I talked about usually you don't want to bring 2 golems if you're going to try a GoVaHo, but he's not using a GoVaHo. It's strictly golems and Valkyries here along with the Queen Walk. So obviously saving some troop space with the hogs, adding some more Valkyries, and using the healers on the queen. So when would you want to use a Queen Walk into a GoVaWi versus just a GoVaHo versus a mass Valk attack? Well, one way to know what strategy to use against a base is if you have max Valkyries, like I said, you can certainly try the mass Valk attack. If you don't have mass Valkyries, or if you do, but it's a more compact base, you might want to do a traditional GoVaHo. And if it's a regular base, but the queen has her own little compartment, the enemy queen, like you saw in this video, go ahead and start with the Queen Walk, and then do exactly what Shockwave did, go into a GoVaWi. So guys, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hope you learned a thing or two and enjoyed these attacks. As always, thanks so much for watching, and take care.